So, good morning, dear Mr. Singh, dear President Kapoor, dear President Agarwal, Mr. Menyon, Mr. Mehta, Mr. Mehta, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. 40 years ago, a great tradition was born. In 2007, the first IAA-India-Day was celebrated. And it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you on behalf of the VDA to the first IAA-India-Day here in Hanover at the new IAA Transportation and virtually all around the world. This conference is an expression of the close partnership between India and Germany. It is a meeting point for high-level representatives from the automotive industry and politics. Today, our distinguished speakers will give interesting insights regarding new trends and opportunities for the Indo-German cooperation in the commercial vehicle sector. Ladies and gentlemen, our event is hosted in collaboration with the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce and our Indian sister association, ACMA, who have a booth in Hall 12 and Siam. With both, we have an association partnership funded by the German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. Our collaboration is a real Indo-German success story. The result are sustainable transfer of expertise in new technologies and an intensified industry dialogue. Just within the last year, we jointly organized more than 25 events focusing on electromobility, digitization, and Industry 4.0. We continue to pursue the goal of supporting the sustainable development of the automotive industry. And we continue to strengthen the exchange between the players in our industry. Our long-standing partnership is based on the valuable work within the Indo-German Working Group on Automotive, which was founded in 2008. The Indo-German Working Group is an important platform for developing and discussing the topics that affect the future of our industry. We therefore wish to express our very special thanks to both the Indian Ministry of Heavy Industries and the German Federal Ministry of Digital and Transport for their intensive support. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indo-German cooperation has a long history. Last year, India and Germany celebrated 70 years of diplomatic relations. For Germany, India is an important and reliable partner. And India is gaining more and more significance for our industry as well. German manufacturers and suppliers have more than 130 locations and production plants in India. The Indian passenger cars market continues to gain in importance as well. For the first time, more new cars have been registered in India than in Germany last year. The Indian passenger cars market was also one of the few growth markets worldwide in the first half of 2022. In 2021, the market volume in India was 3.1 million cars. For 2022, we forecast 3.6 million new cars. This would make India the third largest passenger car market worldwide behind China and the United States. The Indian economy is currently experiencing a strong recovery from the effects of the corona pandemic. This is also true for the sales of commercial vehicles. In the first half of the year, 474,000 commercial vehicles were sold in India, 50% more than in the previous year, and this is almost the same level as before the corona pandemic. India offers great potential for the future. With 28 cars per 1,000 inhabitants, the motorization rate is comparatively low. A growing population, high economic growth rates, and an expanding middle class are increasing the need for mobility and the demand for cars. These numbers show us the significance of India as one of the leading countries for manufacturing of vehicles and a growing automotive market. Ladies and gentlemen, despite India's recovery, the economic effects of the corona pandemic are still felt globally. Russia's terrible war in Ukraine, which we as an industry condemn strongly, has also effects far beyond the Ukrainian borders. It also has affected our industry. Taking a stand for free and fair trade is crucial in the current situation. And now is the time to embrace cooperation, to forge new alliances. For India, as well as for Germany, access to international markets is an essential and strategic asset. Hence, we appreciate that the EU and India in June 2022 formally relaunched the negotiations on a balanced, ambitious, and mutually beneficial trade agreement. Furthermore, the EU and India relaunched talks on agreements for investment protection and geographical indications. We support the goal to conclude the negotiations by the end of 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, with the IAA Transportation and with today's event, we want to contribute our share to global cooperation. Under the motto, People and Goods on the Move, the new IAA Transportation is the leading international platform for logistics and transport. It is home for commercial vehicles, buses, and so much more, from delivery drones to cargo bikes. With more than 1,400 exhibitors, 40 from India, from 42 countries, the IAA Transportation sheds light on an industry that is essential for our daily lives. Commercial vehicles are important pillars for the functioning economy, both for transport and for logistics. The industry's innovative and sustainable solutions are already making an enormous contribution to climate protection. This week, the entire industry will be showing just how successful it already is, and that is setting global standards with its solutions. With the new concept, the IAA Transportation focuses on the innovations and trends that will make logistics climate neutral, and it enables visitors to see and experience these innovations. But the carbon neutrality of the transport sector is only possible if you pursue these goals together. Only with common solutions and international harmonized standards can we succeed in achieving the necessary transformation. This particularly relates to the future-oriented fields of electromobility, autonomous driving, and connected mobility. International cooperation is crucial to ensure that the transformation will be a success story. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my gratitude once again to our partners in India for their outstanding and continuous cooperation, and to today's distinguished speakers. We hope to see you again at the Automotive in January in New Delhi. We will have a joint German pavilion. We invite our German suppliers to participate. My colleagues, Mrs. Manns, Mrs. Kaczmarek, and Mr. Ochel, whom I want to thank for organizing today's event, are happy to provide you with more details. I wish you and all of us an insightful discussion and a great IAA Transportation. So thank you very much, and my best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. Müller, and especially thank you for your support for our German-Indian cooperation. I'm really happy that you're here. My name is Angela Manns from VDA. I will lead you through the program, and I would now like to welcome Mr. Agarwal, the newly elected president of SIAM, our partner association, and also the CEO of Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicles, which is a multi-brand and multi-division company which exports to more than 34 countries all over the world. Yeah, please, Mr. Agarwal, we are waiting for your presentation. Thank you.
President Müller, German Association of Automotive Industry, President Sanjay Kapoor, Automotive Component Manufacturers Association of India, Director General Rajesh Menon, and Director General Vinny Mehta, and all other dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. I am extremely pleased to be part of 14th IAA-India-Day, and of course, it is my honor to be present here. Indo-German Cooperation is and remains an important pillar of the global automotive industry, and I am very pleased that this year the focus of the event will be on Indo-German cooperation in the commercial vehicle sector. So I have prepared a small presentation to give you an overview on the Indian economy as well as the industry and what are the factors that are going to boost the industry in India. And so I will make that presentation. As you can see, Indian economy is now 3 trillion economy, and it is growing very well. And you can see on the top left-hand side graph that our economy size currently last year 2021-22 it was $3.1 trillion, and it had been growing very handsomely, but for this drop in the COVID year. And still you can see the compounded average growth rate is 4%. And today we are the 5th largest economy of the world, and we have just overtaken UK. And per capita income is also growing, as you can see. And as India is now working very, very seriously to take this economy size to $5 trillion, so the per capita income also will grow very well in the coming years. And specifically on the commercial vehicle industry, which is there on the left-hand side bottom graph, it is just an overview. I will cover more details in the subsequent slides. As you can see, in 2022, the market size was 716,000. And now we are expecting very, very fast growth in this sector. And we are expecting that this industry will go up to 1.2 million by 2025 at a compounded average growth rate of 14%. So we are expecting a very high growth rate because the industry is at the rock bottom currently. And the sectors which are going to boost this industry and based on which we are very confident of this growth are the infrastructure sectors and real estate. E-commerce is getting stronger and stronger in the country. And then, of course, transportation and logistics, which is basic fundamental for the commercial vehicle market. That is growing because Indian economy is growing, entire auto sector is growing. So the need for movement of goods and services are growing. Therefore, the confidence level on this growth is very, very high. This is just an overview on the trends of the growth rates. As you can see, we've had extremely good growth rates over a long period, right, ranging from 6%, 8%, 7%, but for this drop during this COVID period. But we have bounced back very, very strongly. We are now at 8.7% last year, and going forward, these growth rates are going to become stronger because we are going to be, we are targeting $5 trillion economy in the coming years. And the entire automotive sector, it is very, very, very well placed. We are one of the top two-wheeler manufacturers in the world. We are the 7th largest commercial vehicle manufacturer in the world. We are the 4th largest passenger vehicle manufacturers in the world. And this decking order is expected to, in fact, improve more and more in the coming days. Now, what is this business environment that is pushing the growth in all these sectors? I think there are 4 pillars of this growth. The top one is the self-reliant India, where we have now very strong resolve from the Government of India to boost this sector. If you look at, we have implemented one of the best integrated system of taxes, which is Goods and Service Tax, GST, a few years back, based on which our GST collections have now become very strong. Month after month, they are creating new records. And there is huge focus on substitution of imports that we call Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India. Tremendous focus on that. And we have taken up a lot of schemes to boost the manufacturing. And there is startup culture there in the country, and more unicorns are coming up. And then the regulations are keeping the pace with this growth. The Government of India is very active in that. And as you can see, we have now the new vehicle scrappage policy, which is already implemented. We have a very strong central policy of Government of India for procurement of electric vehicles. And we have new emission regulations, which are the onboard diagnostics, 2 regulations which are going to come from 1st April 2023. And on the infrastructure, again, government has huge plans. The investment plans over the next 5 years are almost $2 trillion, 145 lakh crores. And of course, there are number of projects on the road construction which are going on. And next 2-3 years, out of this overall infrastructure spend, the allocation on road infrastructure is extremely high. And along with this, there is a lot of digitalization taking place, and there is a lot of digital economy, I can say, and a lot of focus on connectivity, a lot of focus on creating more and more customer-oriented services digitally, app-based solutions, remote vehicle monitoring and diagnostics, and of course, there is strong movements towards alternate fuels, both electric vehicles, gas-based vehicles, as well as biodiesel, and of course, also the hydrogen, the fuel cell vehicles. So there is huge progress happening in all these sectors. And a little bit more on the scrappage policy, which we have already implemented. There are around 17 lakh, 1.7 million medium and heavy duty trucks, which are older than 15 years. Similarly, there are around 3.4 million light motor vehicles, which are more than 20 years. Now, these older vehicles, the tail emissions are almost 36 times higher than the current tail emissions of BS6 or the Euro 6 compliant vehicles. So that is the type of pollution that these vehicles are causing on the roads. And as you can see the bottom, both the graphs, the particulates in 2000 in norms, it was 0.35, now it is 0.01. NOx, it was 8, now it is 0.5. So when the old vehicles are flying, they are all polluting this type of, gases, which are very, you can say, the health hazard and the not environment friendly. Therefore, if we get rid of these vehicles, if the scrappage policy gives the impact, I think it will create tremendous benefits for the entire climate, as well as there are also direct benefits in the economy in the form of, you can see, there will be reduction in oil imports, which will be there because of better fuel efficiency. Then there will be, because there will be a lot of recycling of the metal, so there will be benefit of this metal to the extent of 6,500 crores. And then, of course, there will be huge, benefit in the pollution control. So therefore, this scrappage policy is not only good for the country, for the environment, it will also give a lot of boost to the entire automotive industry. Then CV demand, commercial vehicle demand is also expected to grow handsomely due to the growth in the real estate as well as the entire infrastructure development. And if you look at the core industries which are responsible for infrastructure, for example, coal or crude oil or natural gas or refinery or fertilizers or steel, cement, electricity. So overall, all these infrastructure sectors, they are showing very good graphs. They are showing very good growth parameters. And if you look at the road infrastructure, this is one of very, very high focus area where road construction per day kilometer. Now we have gone up to 37 kilometers of road construction per day, which is huge, and it has gone up from 23, 27 like that with a CAGR of 10%. And of course, the real estate sector is also going to grow multifold, which is currently at $200 billion. It is expected to go up to 650 by 2025 and cross $1,000 billion by 2030. So the growing Indian real estate market, road infrastructure, and all these core industries which are growing, these give a lot of confidence that the commercial vehicle sector or the entire automotive sector is going to have good growth, and which will finally lead to also very good growth in the economy. That is why we are talking of 5 trillion economy. Little bit on the aftermarket, which of course Sanjay, I'm sure, will cover more on the automotive components. Suffice to say that in the entire automotive components industry size, 20% comes from, almost 20% comes from aftermarket parts, and which currently are very strong and growing very well, and it is almost $10 billion, and we are expecting that next 5 years, next to 3 years, it will be around $17+ billion, the replacement market for the parts. So this is going to be very, very strong. And of course, all the sectors in the auto components are growing very well. And this is all because of the various factors like more vehicles on road, prolonged usage, increase in demand of second-hand vehicles, e-commerce, vehicle modernization, technology upgradation. Of course, you will hear more from Sanjay on that. Then, of course, the Government of India policies on the transition in future for the commercial vehicles. Specifically, there is a lot of focus on making them more sustainable, more greener fuels. Lot of focus on the electric vehicles, lot of focus on the CNG, hydrogen, and LNG. In the electric, there are incentive schemes. The tax rates have also been reduced from 28% to 5%, and government is having a very, very, you can say, concerted and focused effort to float, to get the e-buses, electric buses on the roads in various cities. And recently, the Convergence in Energy Services Limited, which is the body for driving this green sustainability fuels, and they floated a tender to procure 5,500 plus buses, and they are going to come out with more buses. Very successfully completed that tender, and these 5,500 buses are going to be on the Indian roads in next few months. And then there is a production-linked incentive scheme which government has come out with at a cost of $3.2 billion US, which is again going to give boost to the new technologies. This entire incentive is for investments in the new technologies, in the electric vehicles, as well as advanced technologies for electric vehicles. Similarly, on the CNG side, from the 900 gas stations in 2014, we have now 4,500 gas stations in the country, and the plan is to go up to 8,000 gas stations in next 2 years. And some of the cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad have large fleet of CNG buses. And similarly, vehicle manufacturers have also plans to introduce light commercial vehicles operating on the CNG. And hydrogen, again, there is a lot of talk on this, and our Honorable Prime Minister launched the National Hydrogen Mission on India's 75th Independence Day, and it is going to help in meeting the target of production of 5 million tons of green hydrogen by 2030. And of course, on the LNG, again, there is a lot of focus on setting up the infrastructure so that the heavier vehicles can be run on the LNG fuel. As you can see, currently all vehicles are basically run based on diesel. This medium and the top table is medium and heavy duty commercial vehicles, where of course there has been some growth in the CNG run vehicles, which have gone up to 9.74%. And in the light commercial vehicles, of course, it is just around 2% only. And petrol is, CNG is 9.5%. And now, of course, we will get some electric buses in the medium and heavy vehicles. We will get some electric buses. But as of now, they are still fueled by diesel only mostly. And of course, other than the commercial vehicles, we see more action in the two-wheeler side and on the passenger car side. There, of course, the ratio may be slightly better than this. Before I conclude, I will just give you an overview of the commercial vehicle market. As you can see, 2018-19 was our earlier peak year when we had a sale of around 1 million commercial vehicles, domestic sale, and which of course dropped to 569,000 in 2021, the COVID year. However, the thing to note is that the session had started before the COVID itself. 1920 was the year before COVID, and that year itself the industry had dropped by almost 30%. So the commercial vehicle market, which is a cyclical market, the recession started before the COVID, and of course now last year we had reached the pre-COVID level, 717 and 718. And going forward, as you had seen in the first slide, we are expecting 14% CAGR. In fact, that is my own personal estimates. That is very conservative. The growth can be even more because there are a lot of factors which I have mentioned in the earlier slides, which are very, very positive for the commercial vehicle sector. So therefore, we are expecting that this domestic sale of commercial vehicles is going to bounce back very fast. The story is not different if you look at the exports. Again, the export of the entire commercial vehicles, if you look at, we had 100,000 plus in 16-17, and of course this also had a similar drop, and this drop again started before the COVID itself. COVID was in 2021, and 1920 itself the industry had dropped to 60,000. And again the recovery is similar. You can see we are almost 92,000 last year export of commercial vehicles from the country. So therefore, it is following the same pattern as we are seeing in the domestic side. So we are slated for a good growth in the export sector as well. This is just to give you some latest trend on the quarterly sales. If you look at the top graph, in first quarter in 18-19 was 230,000, which was the peak. And this year we are already 22-23 first quarter. We are already at the almost same peak. So whatever we were saying, it is already coming true that the first quarter is already touching the new peak in the commercial vehicle sector, or it is very near to the earlier peak. And if you look at the medium and heavy duty trucks, here again it is 76,000 as against 89,000. So very near to the earlier peak, whereas you can look at the COVID year and last year, the figures were much lower. And if you look at the LCVs, there again you can see it is almost the earlier peak. So fundamentally what I am trying to say is that quarterly trends are also very, very encouraging. The industry is bouncing back and going towards the earlier peak, and we are expecting that this is going to grow very, very fast. And similar trends in the exports, you can see it's following the same trajectory, and we are very near to the earlier peaks, and of course the things are going to go better and better. So I think this was my last slide, And of course, I'm sure we are going to have more and more cooperation between Indian and German companies, and this type of events which create much more awareness and much more motivation to do more and more work jointly between India and Germany. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal, for this excellent insight into the commercial vehicle market. And I think we all look forward that the development of the market will be even better than your conservative estimates, which you have mentioned. Thank you so much. We now come to our partner association, ACMA. I would really like to welcome very warmly Mr. Sanjay Kapoor. He is the CEO of Sona Comstar, which is really an international player. As we can see that you produce also worldwide, on a worldwide basis, and you export to many countries, and all the important manufacturers are your customers. So we have a really excellent company here, and you are president of ACMA, our sister association. So thank you very much. The stage is yours.
Very much for that warm welcome. Let me also welcome Mr. Agarwal, President of SIAM, Mr. Rajneesh Singh, who's here from the Ministry of Heavy Industries, Vinny, Rajesh, Angela Mance, and all our other friends from VDA, and ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to run you through an overview of the auto component industry, and more specifically of the ACMA's auto component industry, which is, we have about 805 members today, and in terms of where we are and where we see the growth coming from and where we see ourselves going. Mr. Agarwal did a great job in covering the Indian economy, the growth story of India, and where India is headed. And with that comes great growth for the component industry as well. Established in 1959, which is about ACMA, we have, we've fluctuated between membership of over 800 to today 805. We also represent a majority of the industry, of the auto component industry, and 65% of our membership comes from the MSME, which is a medium small enterprise. We have representation on all strategic bodies, government and industry, and of course offices across India, because of the fact that our manufacturing base for the auto component industry is spread across India. We've seen phenomenal growth this year. We are at pre-pandemic levels. Our sales revenue for the combined component industry of ACMA is $56.5 billion, which is a 23% growth from last year, and puts us back at the pre-pandemic level, which was somewhere here in 2019. So definitely, we're encouraged by the kind of growth, and if nothing out of the ordinary impacts us, we don't see this stopping. We should see double-digit growth going forward as well, unless we run into unforeseen problems which are beyond our control, like COVID and conflicts, etc. With regard to share of market, the passenger car market is the largest, and Mrs. Mueller touched upon the fact that there are 28 vehicles per thousand. India is still a very aspirational market for vehicle purchase, so we see this as a great growth opportunity for us. Already, crossed 3 million. We are the third largest passenger car market. However, we have a long way to go to reach the numbers that we want to. We're expecting this to continue to grow. We have and this slide here talks about, is it here? The slide on my far left and your right talks about the different segments that we operate in, and then the different components and the market share of the components. And this is obviously changing as we go more towards electric and alternate fuels. If you look here, our exports grew 43% to $19 billion, and we had a trade surplus of $700 million, which is, again, a first for us in our history to have a trade surplus. And the aim is really to continue to invest in technology and reduce our dependence on other countries and on imports in general. And this is really also got to do, I would imagine, with the China Plus One strategy, where we've seen a lot of exports come out of India, again, because of the kind of investments that's happening in technology. We also very closely at ACMA work with the international purchase offices of various tier 1 suppliers and OEMs to boost the exports. So again, great opportunities for India as a manufacturing base, from a quality perspective, from a talented in terms of manpower, and in terms of investment in technology. India is really very strong and is just growing in these areas. And again, Mr. Agarwal also talked about the fact that we've got a great push from government, which is definitely helping us, invest and make the right investments in future technologies. In fact, and I'll touch upon that in the later slide. Region-wise export, you can see that a majority of the export goes to North America, Asia, followed by Asia, and then Europe. Of course, the European numbers fluctuate given the fact that we are seeing some pain in terms of the market at this point in time. But hopefully that's it's a cycle. It's not a structural issue. Region-wise imports, we still import from Asia. That's our largest import, followed by Europe. Germany is the second largest source of automotive of component imports. So again, a great relationship and partnership there. If you look at the aftermarket, we also had a 15% growth in the aftermarket, which has now reached $10 billion. The aftermarket is very quickly evolving into a more formal aftermarket, with the right standards and practices. Also, a lot of activity in the startup space in the aftermarket as well. A lot of e-commerce going on there, so it's a great opportunity again in the aftermarket. And I see this business actually, I think the global aftermarket is about $300 billion. So we're sitting at $10 billion. Great growth opportunities again, and great collaboration opportunities, to tap into this space. And of course, for various reasons, we've seen growth with regard to more vehicles, prolonged usage of vehicles, second-hand cars. When we went into the challenge with the chip shortage, there was a lot of second-hand car buying, which obviously increased. And I think that's a global phenomenon. If you look at our figures here again, to OEMs, we've grown 21%. Aftermarket has grown 15%. Exports, I talked about 43%. In imports, 33%. But an overall growth of close to 24% in the component space. And the reason why we're different from the OEM space is because we have the opportunity to export, and that's really a growing market for us, to create India as a base, as a hub. Figures in dollars below that for you to understand that better. So I'll talk a little bit about the headwinds and the tailwinds. We've seen the chip shortage, which we assume is becoming a lot better and moderating from where it was. Logistic costs are still high. We've seen some normalization there. We have seen less than expected growth in the two-wheeler segment. And again, the two-wheeler and the three-wheeler segment is very quickly converting to electric. In fact, 50% of all three-wheelers are electric. So again, great opportunity there for component supply. increasing inflation and fuel costs is a global phenomena. With regard to tailwinds, we see good GDP growth. The domestic demand continues to grow with the building of roads and highways. I feel that there'll be greater opportunities, more cars on the road, more commercial vehicles on the road, great push towards infrastructure, off-highway vehicles, etc. The demand from India to the export. Again, the commercial vehicle market grew 30% this year. The passenger car market grew 20%. Mr. Agarwal's slide touched upon the 1 million in 2019. We went through some structural changes in the commercial vehicle market, which actually brought the volume down to 18,000, and now back up to 717. We hope that this number just continues because we've been through that cycle of the structural changes. So, we should see good growth there. Expansion of all the government initiatives. We've got a great PLI, the Production-Linked Incentive Scheme, which encourages companies to invest in future technologies. We have 75 companies from the auto component space that have been approved by the government, and the outlay is large in terms of revenue, in terms of money that comes into companies for incentives if they meet the criteria. So again, there's a lot of push towards developing or investing in future technologies. The FAME2 scheme again relates to the two-wheeler and three-wheeler and again EV industry. States have their own electric vehicle policies, which again is pushing towards electrification. And again, we're going to see a lot of movement towards clean energy. We talked about hydrogen, towards ESG, towards electrification. ACMA also has a great ecosystem with startups. We're working with a number of startups to develop and mentor startups to really come into the fold of the auto component industry. In fact, at our last executive committee, we onboarded 2 non-automotive companies, which are again in the electrical space, and we believe that that's again a great growth opportunity for us. We've traditionally built our business on joint ventures. Back in 1987, when we began the auto component, or when the auto component industry really flourished, we started with the joint venture opportunities. And again, this is a great opportunity for partnerships between the two countries, between Germany and India. We continue to be strong partners, and anything that we can find in terms of technology is a great opportunity. Again, the tier 2 and the tier 3 space is a growing space and continues to look for technology. So if there are opportunities in that area, we'd really encourage that. So that's really the overview of the component industry. And thank you very much for your attention. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Kapoor, for this very, very good insight into the Indian supplier industry. And it's amazing that you have a trade surplus in this financial year. So congratulations. And this also involves a lot of challenges, as we will talk later on the international aspects of trade, which is also challenging as we have some global turmoils, and I look forward to the discussion we will have later on this. But thank you so much for this insight. Now we come to our even broader cooperation ACMA, SIAM, and VDA has with our governments. Yeah, I don't know if you're all aware of the existence of the so-called Indo-German Automotive Working Group. And this is a working group established already in 2008 after a visit of VDA in India. And we had a very good cooperation with our sister associations already then, and we were introduced to the ministry which is in charge of automotive, the Ministry for Heavy Industries. And I'm very happy that we also have Mr. Singh here today with us. We have as a partner ministry in Germany, the Ministry for Transport and also the Ministry for Economics. And the co-chairs of this Indo-German working group, there are two co-chairs, one at the Indian side and one at the German sides. They are virtually here today. They have sent special messages for us, and we would like to begin with Dr. Klaus Bonhoff's message. Professor Dr. Bonhoff, he's the head of the policy department of the Ministry for Transport, so he's in charge for all general questions of the development of the transport policy in Germany, especially the electrification. We are very happy that at least we have his message here, so I would like to ask my colleague Marius Ochel to start the video.
Agarwal, dear Mr. Kapoor, distinguished guests from India, dear colleagues from VDA, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be able to share my views with you at the 14th IAA-India-Day with a special focus on our ongoing cooperation in the transport sector. The Indo-German cooperation is like a strong rope, braided from numerous initiatives and shared values. While each strand is produced by a different rope maker, it is the sum of its strands that gives the rope its strength. On the government side, the recent German-Indian intergovernmental consultations clearly show the high priority accorded to the dialogue by both governments. Each has stressed its desire that the economic recovery from the impact of COVID-19 should build a more environmentally sustainable and resilient future. Multilateralism and a rules-based international order with the United Nations at its core are fundamental for both. As governments, we welcomed the deepening of the strategic cooperation through the launch of the India-EU Trade and Technology Council. One of the areas identified at the consultations where we will work hard on deliverables is green mobility. As one of the rope's strands, green mobility alone encompasses a wide range of applications with alternative fuels and drivetrains, including hydrogen-powered vehicles. I am therefore delighted to refer to the final statement of the consultation in which we agreed to develop an Indo-German green hydrogen roadmap based on the inputs of the Indo-German task force. The future cooperation between Germany and India will focus on promoting public and private investments in the production, transport and consumption of green hydrogen and its derivatives. The Indo-German Green Hydrogen Task Force also intends to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and experience in the areas of regulation, standards and safety procedures and sustainability criteria for green hydrogen. We see much potential for India and Germany to cooperate in the area of green hydrogen. India has good conditions for the generation of renewable electricity, and the Indian government has announced the ambition to become a global hub for green hydrogen and a major exporter of green hydrogen. Germany offers a great product range, including electrolyzers and leading solutions along the entire hydrogen value chain. While we would welcome new initiatives, new strands to our rope, I want to highlight the existing ones as well. The Indo-German Working Group on Automotive is a well-established exchange format, functioning as a meeting point for high-level representatives from the sector and as a space to share best practices for common challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, we already institutionalized our cooperation in a joint declaration by the Indian and German ministries as far back as 2009. This continuity shows the importance and relevance of the exchange for both Indian and German partners. In both countries, the automotive sector provides a significant number of jobs. It provides opportunities for new businesses and models and technological breakthroughs, but first and foremost, it provides everyday mobility. And although these sectors in our countries differ to a certain extent, many of the challenges we're facing are similar. They include technological changes and innovations, national and international regulations, as well as diminishing resources and, last but at no means not least, questions of environmental protection and climate change. This leads to an international dynamic from which we, the people working in transport and specifically in the automotive sector, can benefit. It is our common goal to achieve these climate targets while ensuring that the automotive sector continues to drive innovation. Especially the transition to electric vehicles and alternative drives keeps us very busy these days. I must admit, the rapid increase of EV sales lately in India are quite impressive. Let me briefly touch upon our current work here in Germany on heavy-duty vehicles and hydrogen. In 2020, the Federal Ministry for Digital and Transport presented the overall concept of climate-friendly commercial vehicles. It contains a package of 3 core measures. Firstly, the procurement of commercial vehicles with alternative climate-friendly drives is supported with a purchase incentive. An additional expenditure compared to the diesel truck is subsidized with 80%. The associated refueling and charging infrastructure is funded with 80% as well. Secondly, we coordinate the build-up of a refueling and charging infrastructure, and this is aligned with the vehicle ramp-up. And thirdly, we design a targeted regulatory environment. The core is the introduction of a CO2-based truck toll, and let me mention at this point also the alternative fuels infrastructure regulation on a European level, which is putting forward mandatory targets to build out recharging infrastructure as well as hydrogen infrastructure, including heavy-duty applications. On the European level, Germany is successfully promoting the development of technologies for generating, transporting, and using hydrogen, especially in the mobility sector. The important projects of common European interest, the IPCEI hydrogen, is a European project involving a total of 24 member states plus Norway. In Germany, a total of more than 8 billion euros in funding is available for these projects, provided by the federal and state governments. In July, the Vice President of the European Commission, Margrethe Vestager, announced the approval of the first 41 projects of the IPCEI hydrogen, 4 of which are German projects and 2 will now be funded by the BMDV. One of these 2 aims to decarbonize cross-border freight transport overland with fuel cell-based powertrains of tractor-trailer combinations while maintaining the key performance criteria and flexibility of the tractors. The other project, Next-Gen HD Stack by ECPO Fuel Cell Technologies, will develop a new generation of high-performance fuel cell stack modules and drive their commercialization. In addition, the CO2 footprint of production is to be significantly reduced. I'm looking forward to discuss these issues and the latest developments with some of you in person at the next Indo-German Working Group on Automotive. For now, let me finish by thanking you all for your participation and efforts in keeping this strand of our Indo-German cooperation strong. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Yeah, thank you. We now come to the message of the second co-chair, which is Mr. Amit Mehta. He's the Joint Secretary at the Department for Heavy Industry, and we will now listen to his welcome remarks.
Friends from Germany and colleagues from India, it is my privilege to address the India Day at IAA. Since the focus is on commercial vehicles, I wanted to share that we are currently seeing a major growth revival in the sale of trucks and buses in India. We are sure that the Indian commercial vehicle industry is now on the growth track, and the excellent work being done on infrastructure in India will provide the necessary ecosystem for a sustainable growth of this industry in the coming years in India. As you are aware, India in the next few years will have the benefit of demographic dividend. Hence, the government is working on policies to skill and generate employment for our youth. This is the period when right policies in India can help it achieve high economic growth backed by investment, consumption and exports. Government of India understands the potential of the automotive sector and has been working on policies to take the growth of industry to higher trajectories in the next few years. We have announced a slew of measures to boost growth in the auto sector, including PLI for auto and auto component sector, PLI for advanced chemistry cell, extension of the FAME 2 scheme, PLI for electronics sector, including auto electronics, PLI for semiconductors, scrappage policy for end-of-life vehicles, roadmap for ethanol blending in India, which mandates 20% ethanol blending by 2025. The overwhelming response for the PLI Auto and PLI ACC schemes of the Ministry of Heavy Industry shows that the Indian auto industry has its faith in India's stellar progress as a world-class manufacturing destination, which resonates strongly with the Honorable Prime Minister's clarion call of Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India. Indian as well as overseas headquartered companies, including many German companies, have been approved as beneficiaries for PLI schemes. German auto sector is technologically advanced, and we will want the Indian and German industry to collaborate, especially in the field of advanced automotive technology. GIZ and the Ministry of Heavy Industries are jointly implementing the e-mobility project, promoting India's transformation to sustainable and climate-friendly e-mobility. Indian auto sector has built solid strengths and technical capabilities in the last 4 decades. It has attracted investments to the tune of $34.5 billion US from FY 2015 to FY 2019. Globally, auto industry is undergoing disruptive changes due to shifting from ICE technology to alternate and greener energy sources, including EV, hydrogen, CNG, LNG and biofuels. India being a vast country with diversity, all future technologies on automotive sector as well as ICE technology will be with improved fuel efficiency. We would encourage German manufacturers to invest in India and benefit from the policies being made in the country to encourage auto sector and new mobility solutions. We are happy to note that a few German companies have already applied for the PLI auto and auto component sector. We are hopeful that the PLI scheme would act as the right impetus to provide scale to the Indian industry, as has been the requirement of all major players. I wish the event a great success. Thanks everyone and all the best.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would also again like to thank both governments, especially the Indian government, for supporting us. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Singh. Please send our best regards to Mr. Mehta and your ministry. And I think this is a very important part of our cooperation to have this framework. Thank you very much. Now we come to the next part of our India Day. I would like to explain you a little bit how this part will go on. We will have some short presentations now and later a discussion on the podium where you are also invited to enter your questions. So I would be very happy if we have a lively discussion later on Indo-German cooperation. I would now like to welcome our partner from the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Dirk Watter, also a long-standing friend of us, and we cooperated many times at those India days. Thank you for this. May I now invite you on the stage to give a little insight on your view on the Indo-German cooperation. Thank you.
Yeah, dear Ms. Mann, thank you for the kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to speak here on the IAA Transportation today here in Hanover. And of course, my relation with India is a long one. First time I went to India was in 1985. At that time, the famous ambassador was the most popular car in India. You see what have all changed in this year, rapid development. My time limit is restricted to 10 minutes, so I just run quickly to my presentation. I just learned this morning that the Indo-German Chamber is 3 years older than the ACMA, also present here. That is also important because in 1956 we also started with big corporations in India, by the way, also in the automobile industry. Not to forget, the first big Indian truck was also made in cooperation with Mercedes-Benz. And today, of course, we are here the largest bilateral chamber in the world with roughly 4,000 member companies. We have 6 offices in India and 1 office in Düsseldorf, what I'm heading. What we are doing here, we are providing a lot of services in the area of DE International. My personal job is to bring foreign investors to India. We have been quite successful, so we did around 250 company formations in the last years, many also related to the automotive industry, and we will come later to this. Trade fair services, of course, very important, and that is also the strong pillar of our cooperation with VDA, with ACMA and SIAM, because Indo-German Chamber, my colleague Sonja Prascha and her team in Delhi is organizing the German and European trade fair participation in Auto Expo in the last years. And of course, we provide a lot of information services because of also in these days, India is quite far away from Germany, and so we have newsletters also to provide information to German industry. Well, scenario in 22, yeah, it's a little bit funny, yeah, because all the years I'm with the chamber, actually more than 30 years, always the concerns were about India. Now things have changed, as we heard already from my previous speakers. India is shining today, but a lot of problems in Germany. Yeah? In Germany, the R word is the elephant in the room, so we are talking about recession in 23. Yeah? And we have an energy crisis, you know all why. There is a war in Ukraine going on, which has a heavy impact on the energy markets. And no reason also for India to have a little bit of malicious joy. Yeah? Because we are all interdependent in these days, and so it will also have a strong influence. Climate change action, we also previous speaker were dwelling with this. Big challenge. One point we have to take, it will be much more expensive in the future. Yeah? Also what Mr. Agarwal said about future technologies. Yes, it is all on the card, but all these technologies, whether it is EV or hydrogen, comes at a different price level, a totally different price level, and that we have to keep in mind. Supply chain problems, also known. Just the other day, I received an ad from a European auto company. They said, sensation, we can offer you, we guarantee your new car in 30 days. That is something new. because in Germany sometimes if you order an EV car, my neighbor tried to book a new Audi EV, waiting period 2 years now, 2 years in Germany. Yeah? And so advertising is coming with delivery periods, also something we never had experienced before. So lot of challenges here, but you see also good signs. We have seen a lot of figures already, but after the Corona crisis now, German exports have risen 21% to India, and German imports 35%. And in red, trade surplus for India. First time in history. I don't know, it did not come in the press. I'm curious whether I was the only one to detect this, but so far it was in no presentation so far. First time in 70 years, trade surplus for India, okay? So, export basket, you know the figures, you have seen it. Quite a success. You see, when I started 30 years back, it was talked a lot about so-called traditional items, textiles, jewelry, spices and so. This is also part of this Indian success story, you see, and also here you can also see the automotive sector is also here well presented, as we have heard already. German exports to India, there was a little dip in 2020 due to Corona. Now it's picking up again. Here you can see what is exported to India. Of course, we still number one are the engineering goods, but you see automotive is also present here with 4%. But of course, I think definitely a little bit more room for improvement here in the future. Imports from India are also rising, as I mentioned already, reached here also all-time high. This year, much better. Here also the automotive sector is also well represented, but you see also the wide range of products we are importing now from India, and I think that is also a good proof for the Indo-German success stories. Yeah, and now you see the headline, why do German companies fail in India? I'm sorry for that. That is our intercultural background. Yeah, in India we should name it, why are German companies successful in India? Yeah, but we Germans always think the glass is half full and half empty, and not half full. What we have in our daily discussions, what is a challenge for German companies, estimation of market potential. Yeah, and coming really from the front desk, I can say you, not many German companies doing a proper market research. Yeah. Some are going to India, don't do a proper market research and are facing problems. Then, of course, low price levels in India. Yeah? And that, of course, German products made in Germany are always quite expensive. Yeah? And I tell you, if we are talking about EV also today, Volkswagen is selling a family car at 60,000 euros, the ID4, you can check it in the internet, yeah? As a family car, that is 5 million rupees. So some of my Indian friends are smiling. Do you think it is a family car in India? It is also not a family car in Germany. So that are the challenges of the future, yeah? We also have to see that mobility will be also affordable also in the near future, because we are all dependent on cars here in Germany and in India. Yeah. Production adaptation to the local market, also essential. Production cost higher than expected. Yes, also India is not super cheap anymore. Yeah? And if you are accompanying investors, I must say, if you want to buy a plot of land here out of Hanover, the price is lower than in Pune. Yeah? That comes sometimes to a big shock for the investors. Huh? And Mr. Capo, you may know, you have also factories in Germany. You may know prices also in smaller villages, very attractive in Germany. If you go to top locations in India, you pay a really high price. Then, of course, partner search is, of course, important. Yeah? With the joint ventures, we have seen successful joint ventures in the past. We have also some failures in the past. So it is important. Qualification of people, of course, you have quite a high number of good engineers in India, no doubt about it. Yeah? But what about trained technicians, mechatronics and all that? So also the chamber is doing project on this to get skilled people here. Certifications is another issue, especially in the automobile sector, because we see new certifications, BIS, from the Bureau of Indian Standards coming up, and also being a challenge for German exports to India. Yeah, briefly, what were the top investors to India in the last 2 decades? You know all, it is Mauritius. The Germans may think, why Mauritius? Mauritius had a very good double taxation agreement with India. We also have to mention in these days, very important, it is not illegal to route the investment through Mauritius. Yeah? That is a legal way of investment. Same is for Singapore. By the way, if we talk about tax havens, also in the EU, we also have tax havens. One is, of course, Netherlands. The other one is Cyprus. And one very, very big car manufacturer in the north of Germany, you may know the name, routed also his investment via the Netherlands. So a big portion of Netherlands also belongs to Germany. Yeah? And this FDI statistics always need a portion of interpretation, I would say. Yeah, yeah, as you know, of course, these are the German biggest investors in the last years. For your automobile business, of course, it is a truck business with Daimler Commercial Vehicles in close to Chennai. It is Volkswagen with investment in Chakan. But we have also seen Continental here, also one of the good German household names of the auto component manufacturers. And one very, very big new factory of Vitesco that is also a split off from the Conti Group, you may know, have just opened a huge new facility in Pune. And if you drive from Pune city center in the morning to Chakan, on the way you see left and right and all the German good household names of the German automobile industry. So all the system relevant also suppliers are in the meantime in India. Yeah, last chart, of course, German companies in India. Interesting here, highly profitable. That is one thing all entrepreneurs love worldwide. That is true. You can see it especially for those who are listed at the stock exchange in Bombay, but also the others are really profitable, and so that is a good thing. And most of the big companies are already present. The biggest companies, they are always fighting who is bigger, as Siemens and Bosch, both well represented, both for more than 100 years in India, by the way. Also good to mention. And it was already mentioned, the big impact also here on employment in India. So more than 300,000 people are employed by the German industry. And if you calculate also the agents, franchise companies, and exclusive suppliers, it's come to 500,000 of jobs created by German companies. Altogether, so roughly we have updated the figure now, 2,000 German companies are represented in India. And out of this, roughly 700 with a manufacturing unit. And yeah, so we do not start with A or at zero. We are already well presented. But of course, there is still a good scope. And I think also Akma and Siam has made good presentations for the future. That was very briefly, and we thank you very much. And of course, we are still there also to support you with investments or finding trading partners in India. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Matta. And I think I can only recommend that companies who are interested in Indo-German cooperation, in getting to know more about India and Germany, I think it's a perfect destination to go to the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for this cooperation. Yeah, now I would like to introduce to you Mr. Nadar Kanyapan. He is the managing director of ZF, another supplier, ZF Commercial Vehicle Control Systems. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And ZF is also a long-standing exhibitor at IAA Commercial Vehicles, so I can only recommend to visit this booth. It shows a lot of technology. Thank you so much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I feel extremely honored and privileged to be a part of today's proceedings and share some of my insights and perspectives on the Indian CV industry. In my humble opinion, it's an opportune moment to be having this dialogue as the Indian CV industry is poised to leapfrog into its next growth phase. The Indian economy is anticipated to be one of the fastest growing economies in the world. IMF estimates India's GDP to grow at 7.4% in calendar year 2022. This is a positive step towards realizing our ambition of becoming the $5 trillion US economy in the next few years. There's a general consensus that the manufacturing sector will play a pivotal role to achieve this goal. This is reflected in the various initiatives taken by the Government of India to boost manufacturing through flagship programs such as Make in India and the production-linked incentive schemes. Interestingly, while COVID-19 has slowed the growth journey, it has also caused businesses to focus on supply chain resilience and created an opportunity for India to become a global manufacturing hub. A number of initiatives have been launched in recent times to provide impetus to the manufacturing sector. The National Industrial Corridor Development Program is one such initiative aimed at providing multimodal connectivity with complete plug-and-play infrastructure, along with building sustainable, future-ready cities. The Gati Shakti program is another initiative which aims to build the much-needed institutional framework for coordinated development on such large-scale projects. It will now be critical for all relevant institutions and agencies to deliver on these plans in a consistent, coordinated, accountable, and time-bound manner. Another critical factor to enable India's competitiveness in manufacturing is promoting differentiated ease of doing business for investors. This entails developing investor-friendly policies and helping investors align their businesses with the global production networks. Over the years, India has emerged as one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and it now offers a growing and thriving environment for investments, both domestic and foreign. With the largest youth population in the world, it provides prospective investors with a highly skilled workforce and a strong work ethic. India continues to rank among the top 10 FDI destinations globally, and total FDI inflows into the country over the last 22 years, April 2020 to March 2022, was 847 billion, of which 84 billion was received between April 2021 and March 2022. Germany is the 9th largest FDI investor into India. The FDI inflow from Germany to India was $13.6 billion during the 2020 to 2022. India recently became the 4th largest automotive market in terms of numbers globally and is likely to ascend to the 3rd place by 2030. India holds a strong position in the international heavy vehicles arena as it is the largest tractor manufacturer, 2nd largest bus manufacturer, and 3rd largest heavy trucks manufacturer in the world. India ranks 3rd in renewable energy country attractive index in 2021 and 3rd largest energy consuming country in the world. The country has set an ambitious target to achieve a capacity of 175 gigawatt of renewable energy by the year 2022, which expands to 500 gigawatt by 2030. This is the world's largest expansion plan in renewable energy. India was the second largest market in Asia for new solar PV energy and third globally, 13 gigawatt of additions in 2020-21 alone. India's installed renewable energy capacity has increased to 396% in the last 8.5 years and stands at 160 gigawatt, including large hydropower, which is about 40% of country's total capacity, as on 31st March 2022. India is among the fastest growing fintech markets in the world, and there are over 6,500 fintech startups in India. Indian fintech industry's market size is $50 billion in 2021 and is estimated at $150 billion by 2025. The pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation of enterprises, creating enormous opportunities for all organizations. Given the customer centricity of the tech industry in India, the demand environment is extremely positive, and many companies have announced aspirations to grow in double digits in FY 22-23. Digital talent stems from a digital-first mindset, which comprises hard digital skills such as data analytics. India has gained a well-deserved place in the global information technology sector. The UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs stated that India is the leading contributor in terms of talent to the world, with around 17.5 million Indians settled in various parts of the world. The country also has a low-cost advantage, which is 5 to 6 times less compared to the Western countries. The Indian talent pool has slowly and steadily climbed up the corporate ladder worldwide. It has also played a pivotal role in advancing various technology powerhouses. The Indian medium and heavy commercial vehicle market is expected to grow to US $480 billion by 2027, registering a CAGR of over 10% during the 2020-2030. The gradual relaxation of lockdown and restrictions, the medium and heavy-duty commercial vehicles market has bounced back from the economic crisis. Owing to consistent technological advancements and the promulgation of stringent emission norms, automakers are increasingly shifting their focus towards autonomous, connected, and electrified vehicles. The CV industry is a vital player in India's vision to become a 5 trillion economy. The industry, along with the government of India, is driving new technologies through regulatory route, thereby working to close the gap with the EU standards, leapfrogging from BS4 to BS6 in a matter of 3 years, installing rear park sensors, fleet telematics, electronic stability control, as some of these technologies launched are going to be launched in the near term. Collision mitigation systems and autonomous emergency braking systems are few disruptions that will further transform the Indian CV industry. The evolving landscape presents a perfect opportunity for Indian automakers to lead the disruptive changes in the CV segment. With the growing number of EV manufacturers domestically, the industry is creating a huge opportunity for automotive suppliers on building a strong position in the global EV supply chain. The future of the mobility sector is autonomous, connected, electric. OEMs have an advantage, may have an advantage as ACE trends accelerate because customers view them favorably. There have been rising trends where consumers now prefer end-to-end connectivity. India is driving the new technologies such as electronic stability control, advanced driver assistance systems through regulatory route. Many OEMs are getting ready to launch these technologies. These technologies will significantly improve the road safety and advanced driver assistance systems and build a safety transport ecosystem. With over 1.2 billion mobile subscribers, India is the second largest mobile market globally. Through the Digital India and Smart City initiatives, the Government of India is driving digital transformation rapidly. This ecosystem provides excellent opportunity for the industry to launch the digital and connected technologies in the vehicles to migrate towards smarter, safer, and more efficient vehicles. Most of the OEMs offer connectivity solutions as a standard feature on all the BS6 compliant vehicles from 2020 onwards. Government has mandated that all the passenger carrying commercial vehicles, hazardous goods carriers, national permit trucks are fitted with the tracking device and a panic button, because these are linked to the government control tower, to ensure safety of the passengers. In many respects, India is on a par with the global standards on digital adoption, if not better. There is a decisive push towards e-mobility in India by the government through various subsidies and tenders for the city transportation. It is expected that around 50,000 e-buses will be produced through the government tender route itself in the next 5 years. Many companies have already started producing buses last mile delivery vehicles, the e-buses and last mile delivery vehicles, not only for the domestic market but also export. Some of them are exporting. Also, to drive localization of the EV technologies, the government has launched a major initiative called Production Linked Incentive, about which already it was discussed here, for attracting investment in the EV sector. More than 70 auto companies, both local and global, have been selected as champions under the PLI scheme to avail this subsidy and drive this transformation. Germany is India's largest trading partner in Europe. Today, Indo-German Cooperation in trade and technology is one of the most dynamic facets of the bilateral partnership. 25% of German FDI inflow into India is invested in the mobility and automotive sector. And major leading German players in the automotive segment have had a long-standing presence in the Indian market. The Government of India recently finalized 3.5 billion PLI scheme with the 6 leading German companies in the automotive sector. The technological disruptions brought about by the autonomous connected electric trends present a plethora of opportunities for the Indo-German collaboration. The other areas of collaboration include vehicle ownerships and new business models, aftermarket services, smart manufacturing, amongst others. The Indo-German partnership in the automotive sector recently completed a century as one of the coveted German brand in the automotive industry celebrated its 100th year in India. Today, the top 5 companies in the automotive sector, comprising OEMs, steadily climb to OEMs and technology providers, including ZF, have a strong footprint in India. Leading German companies not only have a large manufacturing, sales and service presence, but also leverage India as a cost-competitive manufacturing base and export hubs for technologically intensive, cost-competitive systems and solutions. That's not all. Leading German automotive companies and technology providers leverage India's digital and engineering expertise for their global R&D and engineering requirements. As leaders in safety, efficiency, and now autonomous connected and electric technologies, experts from the Indo-German companies, leveraging their decades-old expertise, work very closely with the regulatory authorities in India and contribute to drafting the automotive regulations and standards and policies that will bring India closer to global standards. ZF Commercial Vehicle Solutions division in India has been a market leader for over 5 decades. Our roots lie in the TVS Group as the brakes division of Sundaram Clayton, and now we are proudly part of the ZF Group. The vision of the company is to help shape the future of commercial transport systems in India. ZF CVS India offers next generation of solutions and services. Its products and services supports to make them more efficient, safe, connected, and intelligent and automated. Under the umbrella of ZF's vision for next generation mobility, the company leverages its capability to innovate, integrate, and advance the CV vehicle control systems and set the pace to address the challenges of the commercial transportation industry in India, thereby creating sustainable value for all its stakeholders. Headquartered in Chennai, the company has 5 manufacturing facilities, an advanced technology development center, a vehicle testing facility, and a nationwide aftermarket distribution and service network. ZF is doubling down its focus on India and is looking into strategic consolidation of its business domains, which will help us to grow and strengthen Zaref's presence and brand equity in the region. We recently launched our Refresh India initiative. It's a 4-point initiative which includes an intensive plan to rapidly grow our business in one of the largest automotive and industrial markets in the world. As part of this plan, we will be investing in the next few years heavily to aid its growth. We plan to introduce advanced global technological solutions to the Indian market at an affordable price by focusing on higher levels of localization and strong thrust on design-to-market solutions. We envisage that India will become a global hub for worldwide requirements across R&D, IT, and digital innovations, manufacturing, and material sourcing. We will also focus on retaining our pole position we have achieved in India with our portfolio of system solutions that enhances safety, quality, sustainability of vehicles and industrial products. And our topmost priority continues to be in the investment for the well-rounded development of our employees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanya Pan. I think the story of ZF in India is a perfect example for Indo-German Cooperation. Thank you. Now we come back from the supplier to an OEM. Yeah, we would like to welcome Mr. Rajinder Sachdeva, the Chief Operating Officer of Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicle. Yeah, thank you so much and welcome on the stage.
Good morning, President SIAM, President ECMA, Office Bearer of SIAM, ECMA, VDA, and Indo-German Chamber of Commerce, and ladies and gentlemen. Very honored and privileged to be talking about Indian CV technology trends and how German companies are contributing toward modernizing the Indian auto industry. So I come from Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicle Company in India, which is the third strongest player, and this is a joint venture between Volvo and Eicher since 2008, which is trying and striving to modernize the Indian CV industry. And we commercial vehicle selling and manufacturing Eicher trucks and buses, engines and components, and of course Volvo buses also being under we commercial vehicle, and we also distribute Volvo trucks in India. So all the operation of Volvo organization are managed by Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicle Limited. And we have about 8 factories in India, 7 in central India and 1 in South India, taking care of this manufacturing operation. All plants are industry enabled, industry 4.0 enabled and IoT enabled. And one of the very proud moment for us that with Volvo collaboration, we have put up a engine manufacturing plant in India from where we export the engine across the Volvo footprint, across the globe for both 5 and 8 liter engine. And this is going well. And more than 250,000 engine already have been delivered. So now I come to technology trend. I think this is again proud moment for India that in the emissions, first time our difference with respect to Europe is come down very, very significantly, and practically we can say that our emission standard in India are today same as what are there in Europe. There may be small difference here and there in terms of they are at step E and we are going to OBD2 now, 1st April 2023. So this is a great journey, and this has been possible, lot of support from the German companies also. I can say by value addition, almost 65% value addition in terms of BS6 technology development in India has happened through the German companies which has contributed toward this thing. And looking forward, what are the technology we are developing? Electromobility, of course, our commitment to carbon neutral environment, hydrogen, internal combustion engine and fuel cell, autonomous connected vehicle, and of course, CNG and LNG technology which we have developed. Here I want to say that India has taken a very, very unique way forward in terms of emission development, ensuring that we are a carbon neutral economy. And India, $2,000 is our per capita income, and we can't follow what is happening across the world. We have got our unique solutions, and that is true for the technology also. And based upon this technology footprint, we see that up to 2030, how from internal combustion engine we will move to the various carbon neutral economy. And here we can see that although internal combustion engine proliferation will come down, CNG will continue to grow, and followed with the electric and followed with the hydrogen engines. So we will have the mix of technologies which will help us becoming a carbon neutral. And there, if I talk about first and foremost, CNG, natural gas, and LNG, as Mr. Agarwal explained that in light and medium duty, almost 10% of the total vehicles being sold in India are CNG vehicles. And if I specifically look at 5 to 15 ton vehicle, almost 45% of the total industry moved to the CNG. And today, all the manufacturers are present here in India, and now everybody is trying to expand the range to up to 55 ton using both CNG and LNG, state-of-the-art, meeting Euro 6. And today, you know that some of you know green taxis in Delhi, and also there's a lot of need to preserve the environment. Lot of focus is there, and this technology is very, very successful. And Mr. Agarwal had shared that how the fuel distribution center, CNG fuel distribution center, have also grown, and very great push from the government. This has helped us to move to one step where 15% emissions are lower as compared to diesel, going ahead with the CNG and without adding extra cost. I would say overall cost perspective, this is within plus minus 5% depending upon what technology we are using. Looking at electromobility, if we see that thing, this graph shows that by 2030, which segment, what percentage will move to the electromobility. This is an assessment study done by CII and SIAM. And here we see that two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and compact car will be the first where the highest percentage of transition will happen to electromobility, followed with the buses and then the light distribution truck. That's what is going to progression, and probably long-range, heavy commercial vehicle proliferation to electromobility the least, because that needs a very, very wide charging infrastructure and across the country. So this will be the last one to get converted, and that's where the opportunity for LNG is there. Opportunity for hydrogen fuels are there. On the electromobility, as I said that all the manufacturers are working today, buses being the number one priority, there they're working, and I can say that 9 meter, 12 meter, almost 6,000 buses today are running on the electromobility, and then followed with the light medium duty trucks and then heavy duty trucks. So a lot of development, lot of backward integration in terms of the cell manufacturing and battery pack manufacturing, component manufacturing. Lot of work is happening here, and with the association of the German manufacturing companies. If I look at the hydrogen-based mobility, there are two technology for hydrogen, both fuel cell and hydrogen internal combustion engine. Now, internal combustion engine, where you are using the current ecosystem, which ensure that high energy density is available in terms of storage. You can use the gray hydrogen also. A lot of company like Reliance Industries, Adani, they are now working on the green hydrogen project as a part of the Prime Minister's mission of the hydrogen economy. And this technology, we are very, very confident, and our viewpoints are getting vetted out when we come to IAA and see that most of the manufacturers, most of the OEM, they are now working on the hydrogen internal combustion engine, which will go on the vehicle. Here the cost increase will be only 15%, almost 270% increase in the electric vehicles in India. I'm talking Indian cost. Here the cost increase will be only 15%, and you are able to get nearly zero emission, and that's why now projects are on in India, and here also we are getting a lot of support from the company like Bosch, locked by the ZF, and other company, which are helping us to transit to this level. Hydrogen fuel cell will be less attractive because the affordability cost structure is still very high, and you have to anyhow store the hydrogen on board and at 700 bar pressure, ensuring that all the cylinders have to meet that requirement. There's a cost involvement from that angle, and if hydrogen internal combustion engine technology is successful, this technology will take a backseat. That's what I showed in the graph also, where I show the transition up to 2030. And these are the suppliers which are already there helping us on the engine management system, hydrogen engine development, diesel engine fuel system, catalyst for exhaust after treatment, EGR systems, piston, transmission automation and connected vehicle, where we are working with the ZF on the AMTs, also automatic manual transmissions, and clutch system and automation, and BS6 testing and development technology. So these are the area we are already, where the German companies are helping us, and there's a very strong bonding and deep association is there with these companies, developing all the alternate fuel technology, what I shared that thing. And if I look at the future, this collaboration, both with Europe and Germany, going to get further enhanced in the areas of battery value proposition enhancement, cell chemistry for high energy density, affordable fuel cell technology, smart charging, hydrogen internal combustion engine system solution, and development and testing solution. So I look forward that going forward, association and collaboration with India and Germany will going to get stronger and stronger. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see trade balance is in favor of India. And with that, I come to end of my presentation, and thank you all the VDA organizers having organized and giving this opportunity to us speak at this forum. Thank you very much once again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Sachdeva, and especially for highlighting the cooperation with German companies. Yeah, this is the future. Thank you so much. Yeah, now we come to our last presentation, when I'm right. Yeah, this is another exhibitor of IAA show, Garrett Advancing Motion. And we have Mr. Daniel Dairo. He's the Senior Vice President of Global Customer Management from Garrett Advancing Motion. Yeah, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and it's really an honor to present Garrett Motion to all of you. It will be a quick presentation, as I've been asked to really be short, but obviously with a focus on India, which is the aim. So Garrett is really a cutting-edge technology provider that enables the vehicles to become cleaner, more efficient, and connected. We have been developing partnership with a lot of main customers, since more than 65 years. And the previous customer, obviously, we are working with. I'm very pleased. And all what you will see here is exactly the voice of the customer, pretty much. So we are really establishing a strong relationship and enabling the customers to become greener and greener. With those, all those key customers who have been always bringing new technology first to market, thanks to those strong partnerships, always with the same attention. 99% of our products are really related to emission reductions. So obviously we are covering all the planets, so all the segments from diesel, gasoline, on commercial vehicle, on highway, off highway, obviously including marine, and with electrified product. The world is not closing the door from ICE to BEV from one day to the other. So we are constantly improving our product to meet new regulation emissions. You can see we are a 3.6 billion company, launching every year above 100 applications, working on more than 10 committed applications, electrified applications, from e-boosting, e-compressor, e-turbo, but as well fuel cell compressor. 110 million is approximately the car park we have our technology in. And as I mentioned before, just an example, regularly we are really launching first to market technology. E-turbo is the last one that we are implementing with AMG. It was a technology that was confirmed through the Formula 1, we are as well supporting motorsport. But it's a good example to show that moving to the PV with AMG, and it's something you can see in our boost in the HAL 12 on e-turbo for commercial vehicle as well. A global footprint, which is as well a differentiation for us. We are everywhere where the customer needs us to be, with 13 different sites, but as well 5 R&D centers around the world. And you can see as well here, we'll explain a bit more for India, but we're in Pune, in Madurai, in Bangalore. And we have as well software, 6 software development center, which is as well in India. So in Pune, we are already 17 years. It's a headquarter of India from Garrett Motion, producing since 17 years. We are a bit shy of 1 million units per year, but we're going there. And 50% of our volume is on the export, right? We heard a lot of this morning export, and obviously we are part of the PLI and committed to invest on this moving forward as well. We have all the capacity, as we can see, in terms of R&D development. We have a center of excellence in India, developing a new material, because we spoke about before natural gas. Natural gas requests much higher temperature capability. So development as well in India to enable globally share the best practice we are developing in India to the global organization. As well, we have a center established only since 2019, supporting the entire IT infrastructure of the company. So strong involvement, I will say, in India. Maybe it's a bit shy, 700 people versus other companies that I heard today, but it represents already 10% of our total employee of Garrett. So strong investment from our part. The product line of Garrett, as I mentioned, we need obviously to support our customer in a day-to-day. So it's obviously focused still 50% of our RD&E on the core business, which is on diesel, gasoline, light vehicle, and commercial vehicle. But with our latest generation, we have not been stopping in years. We were already in the 4th generation for all our diesel application on the Westgate site, but on the 7th iteration for variable geometry, either on the light vehicle or on the commercial vehicle. As well, here an example, we were the first on launching the variable geometry on the gasoline side, and we're not stopping there. We have been, as I mentioned, developing a lot of product as well in India in terms of hydrogen, but not only on ICE, so H2ICE, but as well on fuel cell compressor. We are the first launching with the Honda Clarity in 2016 with the 1st generation. We have been developing the 2nd generation, already launched with some customers, and there is other launch to be done. And we are working on a 3rd generation. So all of this obviously will support as well Indian needs. Software is a complementary offer from our side on our e-product. It's cybersecurity, which is developed, by the way, in India, and it's as well e-boosting control, but as well advanced diagnostic, preventive diagnostic. If you look at, because we're all obviously on the commercial vehicle at IAA, so just a slide, and I think I share a bit what I've seen before. There is still a strong need on the IC, right? And obviously, as I mentioned, there is still a need of improvement on this area to achieve the emissions targets. And we have a product for each of the requests on the powertrain side. But as well, we are not blind, and we see obviously the need, as I mentioned, on hydrogen. So as well here, as I mentioned before, we are there with a product, as we need as well specific product for IC, H2ICE, and it's as well in our boost. I think we will have a nice tour later, we'll share with you. And the fuel cell compressor, which is really something that we believe, and we see that in the air those days, that it's really everywhere, and we are really well located here with a nice technology. The key message we wanted to share with you is that it's a strong investment over more than 65 years partnership with customers, coming with a brand new technology, first to market, always to try to enable to reduce the emissions, to be more green and to make the world more green. This is about Garrett. 17 years production in India, constantly increasing the production as well the export, and it's exactly what we have been applying under the PLA, right? The auto PLA is to committing to invest in India as exporter hub, and obviously working with local research institution as well. I mean, leveraging all the Indian capability we have, as I mentioned before, at the RDNE, to the support of the other regions. I think I was just reaching the 10 minutes, so thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for this presentation. I think you could just stay here, as I now would like to invite the speakers on the podium, as we will have our discussion now. And yeah, I would also like to highlight Vinny Mehta and Mr. Menon, which are now not joining the discussion, but I would personally like to thank you for all your support. We now have the presidents of ACMA and SIAM and the speakers we just had. Please come up to the stage. So, please, maybe. For all this interesting presentations. We will now go into a small discussion, and as I mentioned before, you are very much invited to join this discussion in the audience. Please raise your hand whenever you have a question, and later on I will also come back to you. Yeah, I would like to start with the topic of Indo-German cooperation, and very concrete, what can be improved and intensified. And I would like to start with the manufacturer's view, yeah, the SIAM view. So maybe Mr. Agarwal, could you give us some ideas? Where are some critical points? Where do you expect to have more cooperation? Where could you invite us to have a little bit of a more intensified Indo-German cooperation, especially in the manufacturing sector?
Thank you. I think the potential of doing joint work, it is extremely high. Because opportunities in India are very high. The economy is growing and auto industry is growing, and we have all the large manufacturers in Germany who are already there in India and who have made large investments. And if you look at today the technology, it is evolving. It is in all the future fuels, be it electric or hydrogen, ICE or CNG or LNG. And when you go around here in the IAA, all the display of various technologies, it's very clear that there is a lot of work that is happening across the world, and especially in Germany. in the new technologies. So I would say there is tremendous potential to work along with German companies and the Indian auto sector to evolve that what is going to happen, because it is still not clear that which technology is going to be relevant in future, whether it is going to be the hydrogen ICC, ICE, or it is going to be hydrogen fuel cell. It is still not, I'm still not clear that which is going to be more relevant in future. What will be the cost? What will be the initial acquisition cost, and what will be the operations cost? So still there is a lot of work happening. So it's a great lot of learning here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Agarwal. I would now like to come to Mr. Kapoor and have the suppliers' view on this. Where do you see more fields of cooperation between India and Germany?
Okay, thank you. So I think I'll just echo the comments in terms of the evolution of technology. And I'll just add to that, there's an ecosystem that's going to be built with the evolution of the technology and electric vehicles and alternate fuels. And we saw in Garrett's presentation was very interesting was cybersecurity. Again, a very key area to focus on as we move in this new world or new automotive world. And therefore, we're stressing upon the ecosystem, not just, the fact that we can supply components. A lot of research in engineering, a lot of research in other solutions, even in services. So when we look at the automotive industry, what we're seeing today is there's a huge move or an evolution or revolution even in the products as well as the processes and services and materials. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to collaborate on all those fronts. Infrastructure has to be built when you look at electrification, when you look at alternate fuels, other aspects of adopting those technologies will come into play. So the what used to be, the automotive industry is moving towards the mobility industry. When you look at vehicles from a connectivity perspective, from telematics, from autonomous, all these are new technologies globally. And I think the opportunity to adopt them in the Indian context is great because we're moving in that direction much faster than we think or that we know. And this is, if you look at what happened with the mobile phones, one day you had them and the next day everybody had them. And that's exactly what's going to happen in my senses with the electric revolution. And the need to be clean. We have a mandate of going to net zero by 2070. That's the Prime Minister's objective. And if we work with that, there's a lot of opportunities that we can bring to the Indian context, to the component industry as well as the automotive industry as a whole.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would now like to ask a question again to President of SIAM regarding the general framework. Yeah, in Germany, we have heard it before. It's not only a long time you have to wait for your e-car, but it's also a challenge sometimes, not in the cities, but especially in the countryside and in smaller towns to load the car. Yeah, so this is a very important topic. We always tell our government that they need to do more for the infrastructure for e-mobility. Yeah, everybody wants it, yeah, especially in the politics. They say it's very important. But to build up this totally new infrastructure, even in Germany, it's a challenge, yeah. And I can imagine that in India it's similar, maybe also another challenge. Could you highlight on this, and what do you expect from the government, how to support on this?
No, absolutely. I think infrastructure is going to be extremely important. However, the good thing about India is that Indians are very, very entrepreneurial, and once they see that there is some opportunity somewhere, then they move very fast. So we have the Government of India, which is very, very supportive of all these new technologies, sustainable technologies. So a lot of work, as you have seen the CNG fuel stations, the way they are coming up and going up, and now we will have the LNG infrastructure. The electric charging infrastructure already, it has come out faster than we expected in the cities. Like the way it is evolving in two-wheelers or in three-wheelers, I think it's moving extremely fast. And we see the electric two-wheelers now all across the country. And for passenger vehicles also, I think there has been very good initial successes. And like for the intra-city buses, now wherever these have been introduced, the infrastructure is not, no one is talking of the infrastructure. So I think the day the people feel that this is the right technology, there is government supporting it, and there are people who will lap onto it. I think, so we see, it will be a challenge, but it will happen.
Okay, yeah, let's hope that it will be quick and all over both countries. Yeah, I would now like to come to ZF, Mr. Kanya Pan. As you work for a company which is very close to Germany, of course, but also on a worldwide basis, and especially India. Thank you again. Where do you see maybe a challenge on the framework conditions? Yeah, what can do governments or associations do more to enhance the cooperation between the companies?
I see the government is quite proactive now. Very seriously driving the many new technologies to make the the transportation safer. Even in the EV, there's a lot of initiatives from the government. I feel the ball is in the court of the industry, OEMs and the suppliers. The challenge is these technologies are expensive, developed in maybe in Europe. But then Indian customers, this being a commercial vehicle, I would like to talk on the commercial vehicle. This being an investment, and it's always difficult for the fleets to find a way how that investment will be paid. Who will, so there I think there is a requirement for the component industry and the OEM together really develop solutions that are more appropriate for India market. It's more adapting. It's not necessary that we need to develop something exclusively for India, but we need to really jointly find what features which is really required for India, a certain amount of defeaturing, certain amount of adaptation to that market. That's a very good opportunity available, particularly from a German company or from ZF perspective. We see first we need to really understand the customer, their expectations much deeper, instead of giving a solution that is available here. Same case from the customer side. In some case, we may be able to co-create the solutions. It's not necessary that you offer what is available with you. So in that space, I think there's a lot of opportunity to work together.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, a question to Mr. Sachdeva. As I have learned that your company is exporting to more than 34 countries worldwide. We would be interested in your estimation, where are the challenges in exporting? I mean, it's a goal, of course, of every company, every country to be successful on a worldwide basis, but there are also challenges. Maybe later on we can discuss this a little bit, yeah, on the global landscape. But where's your success story, and where do you see challenges coming up, especially in the export markets?
Yeah, on export, we are exporting to now, it is listed now 37 countries, and it's South Asia is the one area where we are exporting. We were exporting about 65-70% of our production, and then we opened new market, Middle East and African market, and particularly South Africa also, we are there. And as we see currently post-COVID, one challenge we're facing that is the financial stability of the countries where we are exporting that thing. That's the one challenge we are seeing, particularly in Southeast Asia, that because of that, their economy and their ability to import has come down. And that is leading to the export challenge. The numbers are not doing. But second side, opportunity is also huge. That today at VCV with Volvo Sport, we have got capability to design and develop the products which are required by the specific country. And there, 12 more countries we have now targeted, and where the left-hand drive various features suitable to that market. We are able to design and develop, and we are exporting to those countries. Yes, there are some issues that some countries are looking at CKD, some are looking at CBU duty structure, how that is favoring a specific country. I think that's the one area challenge is there, which we need to streamline so that we are able to export. And second is, of course, the technology, what is required in those markets, how you are able to develop that technology and deliver that thing. So few challenges are there, but we see many opportunity, and we are looking forward that 25,000 numbers will be able to export another 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, very impressive. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I would now like to come back to Garrett, to Mr. Dero. You work for a very international company, as we could see from the slide with your production plans. Where do you see the challenges of this international outstandings?
I will take it. Thank you very much. Okay now? Yes. So I will say there is challenges, yes, but there is a strong opportunity by doing that as well. So the challenge that we have been obviously working since many years is to make sure that every plant that we have around the world, if you go inside in India, the plant, or you go in Romania or whatever the country is, it will be difficult for you to really understand in which country you are. We are very much having a Garrett operating system that has been deployed everywhere to ensure really the best quality, the best benchmark practice around the world, which allow you to remove a lot of challenges in this way. Obviously, challenges there is everywhere in terms of logistic quality. You need to make sure that what you deliver from India to Thailand, as an example, that you have a strong quality check up front and as well before you deliver to the customer. But I will say the Garrett operating system allows us to really deliver from everywhere. And that's something that is important. But the opportunity with the world that we are living, with everything that has been happening over the last 2 years, having the capability to deliver from everywhere, sometimes a similar product, with the COVID as an example, was just extremely beneficial for our customers as well. It was really highly recognized. Thanks to that, no stoppage, that's as well important. So export for us is really something we encourage everybody.
Yeah, thank you for this insights. I think it's very interesting that the turmoils on the political levels, like we have even a war in Europe, and we have sanctions, and we have new trade policy initiatives, and this is very important for each and every company who wants to export or to buy parts in other countries. So at VDA, we have a very close look at it because it can influence the business from one day to the other. Yeah, so I can only recommend also to look at this, and we can see also growing tensions, yeah, between the huge players, yeah, and this will also influence our business. But in this regard, I would like to ask Dirk Matter about his opinion on the developments regarding free trade initiative between India and Europe. Do you expect this will happen? Because we are speaking about this now for a very long time, and we could not succeed. But how do you see this?
Yeah, Ms. Mann, thank you very much. Of course, it is a very important question, and especially on the automobile sector, we have still some points which were raised by the EU in the trade negotiations with India, and that is about customs duties, for example, on CBUs, which are still more than 100%, and that is on the agenda to be negotiated. I sincerely do hope that there is some movement. Of course, we have a very strong and very patriotic government in India, and I can only remind my Indian friends who are the world masters in negotiations, to find a solution is always give and take. Give and take. You can never reach 100%. It is always at the end a compromise. Yeah, and I sincerely hope we will have a compromise because, as we rightly said today, there is a lot of opportunities. Yeah, and do not be afraid. India will not be flooded by luxury cars from Germany if the import duty rate is coming down to, let's say, 50%, something like that. Yeah, and but it would be a good sign also for opening up the economy. Yeah, and India has went such a long way in a successful way, and we see all good German brands like ZF and others being here. And even Mr. Sachdeva did not mention that Aisha was also a German company. Yeah. So you are not proud of your roots. Huh? I'm a little bit concerned, I must say, because you see in Germany we're also good in historic cars and historic tractors. And Eicher, as we say Eicher, you say Aisha in India. Eicher was a very famous brand for tractors in the 50s and 60s. And then they had a very early collaboration in India. And finally, you can also be careful. At the end, only the Indian side survived. The German side went bankrupt then and was closed down. Indian side survived. It is very lively and very successful today. No, but you see, there is a lot of potential in this area, and of course, I think here in the truck business, the situation is still quite safe. Also on this fair, I would say, because the movement to the new technology is a little bit slower in the truck business. But in the passenger car vehicles, where we also see a lot of Indian suppliers, but some of the biggest German manufacturers say in 2030. We will not produce any combustion engines anymore. And if you are a supplier of crankshafts or camshafts or turbos, then you have to think twice. You have to think about new project, and that is also valid for Indian component manufacturers because also some of the markets, some of the components cannot be exported or produced anymore in the future. But I think, coming back to a question, yes, EU, very, very essential, very essential. If both sides are moving fast, and I do hope so, then I heard some rumors, maybe end of next year, we could come to a conclusion. That is my wish.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's not only your wish, but it's something the European Commission is saying officially. They want to end the negotiations by the end of next year. I think this is really a challenge. We cannot believe it, but we will see. And I would like to inform you, I don't know, I'm sure you are aware, but maybe not everybody, that we even have a quite high tariff in the European Union for commercial vehicles. Yeah, it's around 20%, so it's not nothing. Yeah, you can also gain a lot for the export markets to the countries of the European Union, as we have a customs union. So there's quite a lot to dismantle, yeah, on both sides. And what I would also like to highlight is the non-tariff barriers, which are also occur in Europe. Yeah, we are ready also to dismantle them and to look how we could even cooperate further also in the regulatory framework, because this is more and more important, as it would not make sense to develop technologies totally different from each other if we look at the market on a worldwide basis. Yeah, so VDA is a supporter of this project, and also on the political point of view, I think it's important to have a partnership agreement, and I would also like to inform you that we do not only speak about tariffs and other barriers, but also about raw materials and energy partnerships. And Mr. Kanyapan, I think, showed a slide with the capacity or the possible capacity for renewable energy. And we are in big need, yeah, of energy. And I can imagine that this will also be a field of cooperation. And is ZF also playing a part in this?
ZF is playing a very important role. We have the largest manufacturing plant in Coimbatore, which manufactures the transmission for the windmills. For ZF, that's the largest in the world. So ZF has a very strong focus on sustainability and green energy. So, of course, India contributes as well.
Yeah, I think it's a huge chance also for the companies, yeah, to get more involved in the renewable energies, yeah, and yeah, this is the future. Yeah, now as we come to the end, and I see the lunch is already being prepared already here in the room. I would like to come back to you. Yeah, please raise your hand if you have a question. There we have somebody. Do we have a microphone left? Mr. Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to ask you to tell us your name and company, and of course your question.
Good afternoon. I'm Sachin Gupte. I'm Managing Director of Pune Shims, which supplies to VE Commercial also for last more than 20 years. Then we supply to most of the commercial vehicle manufacturers in India, including Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland and everybody in commercial vehicle industry. Thanks to ACMA, we could get visa this time. So now that is where VDA and Indo-German needs to work. The problem we had was we had paid for the stalls, and the facilities over there in India desperately needed to give us the visas. Now that is where you need to talk to your own government, that the time taken to get business visa for Indians has gone so high right now. Now, when we come here and when we put a stall, which we have also put, we are spending money in Germany. Now, if you don't give us the visa on time, ultimately, in my case, I had to threaten the authorities over here that, look, I want the money back for the stall. So that is where they said, no, we'll make arrangements. Now, that is where VDA and AHK needs to work together and inform the German government that don't go for a quick visa for tourists. But at least you should have some arrangement for a quick visa for business dealings. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for raising this up. I can assure you the visa issue is also on top level. here in Germany, because also in other sectors, people have the same problems, with getting a visa to travel to Germany. We are in contact with the embassy and also with the politicians, and I can understand your remark, and be sure that we follow up on this.
Hello, yeah. We paid for the stall 8 months back. And then suddenly we realized that they are not going to issue visas. And then ACM is stepped in. And there were special arrangements made. Now, every time it's not possible to do that. Please.
Yeah. But also, of course, VDA cannot, we would love to give you the visa, but we have to rely on our government and the embassy, but I'm sure we will help you. We could also talk later maybe on this. Thank you. I saw another question in the back of the room. So please, Marius, could you give the microphone to our guest?
Hi, I'm Siddhant Tibdewal. I'm one of the founders of a startup here in Hamburg. Also originally come from India, working in the digitalization of service management in the trucking industry. So my question goes into the range of digitalization. Apart from automotive components, I come from Coimbatore in India, so I know the automotive dominance there. A lot of auto components manufacturers exist there. Apart from auto components exchange, there's a lot of digital services exchange happening there as well. And in Indian societies, there is this customer-centric focus, but there's this new trend of enterprise focus coming in as well. And since we are under-digitalized, underserved, my question would be now, where is the maximum, where are the immediate opportunities in the industry where the appetite for adoption is there, but the focus of the industry is not there, just because of lack of intent, lack of willingness to touch, to get the hands dirty or whatever. I hope my question came over. Please let me know if I have to repeat something.
Is anybody here ready to answer?
No, I think digitalization, first of all, it is very, very relevant and very important, and customer service can go up manifold. However, right now, the challenge is that of awareness of the customers. Customers are still not fully aware of the potential of these advantages if they go through the digitalized services. At the same time, the infrastructure, like for example, if you take an example of trucks, all the workshops or all the technicians or all the entire ecosystem, now till the time all of them adopt this change, this is going to be the slow movement. So one is that we have to build in lot more awareness amongst all the potential you can say users, as well as the people who are going to deliver the service. And then the second thing is, of course, the companies also have to drive from their side, so that we adopt the digitalization, we adopt the new methods of doing work, more and more app-based services, and then, of course, build up all the infrastructure as well as the awareness. That is how it will happen more fast.
Okay. Am I allowed to follow up on this question, or are we out of time?
Very short one.
Yeah. One way of actually tackling this issue of intent from the customer side is actually subsidizing the costs which are paid for the digital services. So subsidizing adoption of services as such. Is there anything ongoing in those arenas from the government side, I don't know, or from the private sector?
Yeah, I think this has to happen from the companies. For example, to build up more use of digitalized services. For example, we decided one day that all our trucks and buses will be connected. We will only sell connected trucks and services. And once we started giving that, then of course, people were not taking the subscription. The customers were, even though the truck had the hardware for the connectivity, but they were not subscribing for the service. Then we decided, okay, let's give this service free from our side for 2 years. So we started giving the free live connection along with the hardware. And after that, a lot of awareness started. But this means additional cost that the companies have to incur. Once customer get to know of the uses, I think he will be willing to pay. He will be willing to renew the service after 2 years. So like that, I think initially you have to do some handholding or you have to do some subsidization so that the customer can see the benefits, and if he gets more advantages, benefits, he will start paying also. So it is a struggle, but of course, we have to make the beginning from the company's side.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now I think we will come to the one more question.
Yes.
Okay, a short question.
Hello, my name is Naveen. I work as a global product manager for ZF. I had a question on Mr. Vinod Agarwal's slide that I saw that there are about 170,000 15-year-old vehicles and 340,000 passenger cars that will be scrapped under the scrappage policy. The question is there an infrastructure in India to handle such a amount of old vehicles? How they will be managed?
Yeah, I think the potential is large. That's the total number of vehicles, like 34 million for the motor vehicle and 17 million for the trucks. I think the numbers are huge, which are more than 15 years, 20 years. And you would have seen government has come out with a policy of setting the scrap centers. And already, I think a lot of companies have set up the scrappage centers. And once it becomes more and more, people start coming out with the scrapping of the vehicles. You will see more and more scrapping centers coming out, because it is a profit-making activity. It's not if you are setting up a scrapping center, I'm sure you will make money. Whosoever sets up the scrapping center, he will make money. So therefore, it will be a good business proposition. But of course, the volume has to be there. So this scrapping initiative will pick up speed. And once it picks up speed, you will see more and more scrapping centers coming up. And I don't think there will be, this activity will suffer because of scrapping centers. I think people have to come out more for scrapping of the vehicles. Once they start coming out more, you will see more scrapping centers.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think especially in Germany, you can see very profitable scrapping centers. Yeah, some years ago, we also had organized a visit for our Indian delegation to look at it, and it's very impressive to see it, and it's profitable. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, now I think we come to the end of our 14th IAA-India-Day. I want to thank all the speakers and supporters, and I do not want to forget to also inform you about our partnership project between ACMA, SIAM, and VDA, and my colleagues, Ineza Kaczmarczyk and Marius Oche, and also Kartik from India. They are all there to support you. And I can only invite you all to get in contact with us. And if you have an idea about a project which we could support within our partnership, we are very happy to do this. We are really grateful also to the German government that we have this support to have this deep partnership, and thank you so much for supporting this from the Indian side. Yeah, we come to the end, but now you have the chance to eat and meet and exchange. We have Indian lunch buffet prepared for you. VDA invites you to this, and yeah, have a great show. I'm sure you will visit some of the companies which are here today. We also have an Indian pavilion, the ACMA pavilion in Hall 12, and please visit this. And there are nearly 50 companies from India exhibiting at IAA Transportation. Thank you very much for this engagement. We will also come to Auto Expo. There will be a German pavilion, and we invite our members to join this German pavilion. If you are interested, please come back to us, to me or my colleagues. We are really looking forward to be in India in 2023. Thank you so much.